Well, I always feel like I'm coming home when I come to Nashville. I spent a chunk of my childhood in Tennessee, and I have family here in Nashville, and it's kind of a capital of music, so that suits me just fine. I love working with this orchestra. I've worked with them in the past. It's always fun, but to me, this is the orchestra that's doing what it should be doing. It's an American orchestra, an American city, so they should be doing American music. So I applaud them, and let me tell you, they do it well. They do it very well. I love having my pieces done by principal players because there's more of an invested connection for the musicians in the orchestra that are playing the accompaniment. But the thing is, I've also found these days that the players are so good that any of them could be standing in front of the orchestra and soloing, and it's wonderful to be able to kind of capitalize on that. Well, first of all, James's tone is beautiful. It's absolutely exquisite, and this I know because James played in the premiere of my opera this summer. He was out in Santa Fe. He was the English horn player and the second oboist in the orchestra, and I had written, knowing he was going to be in that orchestra, I'd written these English horn solos. So I got a chance to actually hear his playing before I even arrived here for this week's concerts. But he sounds just fantastic. I think he can play anything. It's all in one movement, which is a little unusual for a concerto, but it has definitive sections. Now, when I was commissioned to do it, one of the things that the group that was commissioning it, there was actually a bunch of people who were commissioning it, they were telling me that the oboist for whom it was written, Kathy Greenbank, who plays with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, they said to me, and this was literally their quote, when she tunes the orchestra, when she plays that A, it sounds like butter. And I thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting description. So what I decided to do was to start the concerto slowly with a long held note for the oboe. I didn't have the oboist play an A, I had them play a half step higher, a B flat. But the whole design of kind of the oboe unfolding in the texture with these long lines, it's a very unusual thing to do. But oboe sounds amazing, and the truth is, for most people who sit in an audience, the thing they are most familiar with in oboe is that long sustained tone, because the orchestra always tunes at the beginning of each concert. So I wanted to give something that was a little familiar for the audience there. But it also kind of shows off the lushness of the oboe. I have a lot of strings playing against. They have long sustained chords. And I think probably all of my music sounds fairly American maybe because I'm American. I don't know. I'm not very good at defining my own music, but I think I've seen enough journalists write about it that now I'm starting to repeat what they say. You know, for me, this place is kind of, in my head, it's like the capital of music, and maybe it's from having lived in Tennessee. I've listened to a lot of country music. It's a regular thing on my iPhone. And so because of that, and also I think because I serve on a board at ASCAP, which they have meetings here as well, I'm so hyper aware of this city, but I love the variety. About a month ago I was in Cuba, and there wasn't a great variety of music in Cuba. So I'm appreciative of the fact that you have such a level of artistry here that people are writing music and they're able to perform it at an incredibly high level, and it goes out into the world. So the variety is fantastic, but it's a very high level of music making. If there's any artist that I'd like to work with, it would be Alison Krauss. I didn't grow up around classical music. This is the ironic thing. We had music playing in the household. My dad was a commercial artist who worked at home, so we had all other kinds of music playing. But bluegrass is something that has really been very prominent for me. In fact, I've written a bluegrass concerto that gets done a lot, has been recorded several times. And this past summer, I had an opera, Cold Mountain, based on Charles Fraser's novel, that premiered, and it's 2.5 hours of music that is kind of a bluegrass base. So it felt like coming home writing that opera.